Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. This will be the beginning of my Marbury versus Madison multimedia presentation for the week, and my name is Nadia Olivas. Government before this case, I imagine, was where or how it was explained, and I read is this: when a president was about to leave office, he could liberally just fill any positions of it open in Congress, and obviously he would want to fill them with people of his same party or his friends or colleagues that would benefit him, to keep that party, the popular party, um, in the White House. So, in this case before as well, there was no form of declaring a law unconstitutional. So this before this case was decided by the Supreme Court, this was common practice. So why is this case significant in history and in our government? It's because, as I mentioned in the previous slide, this was the first case that established judicial review, which basically gave the courts the power to declare a law unconstitutional. So in the past, things were done pretty liberally. There was no one really stating that what a president did before he left office was, violating the Constitution. And this specific case, because a Marbury was promised a position and then he was not given it by the next president. This caused for turmoil. He took it to the courts, and then, as we all know, this did establish this judicial review, which now we all know, is the Supreme Court, and then they make the ultimate decision on cases that make it up to the Supreme Court. How this case impacts our life today can really depend on, which side of the coin you're on. Someone might say that this case gave the court too much power or ultimate power to decide, and others might say that it created a stronger checks and balances that the framers intended in the Constitution, where they did not want, one branch to be stronger than the other. But judicial review is being used, every day. Just this week, the Supreme Court gave their opinion on the Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. So I don't know if you're familiar with this case at all, but in brief, it was a cake shop owner in Denver where a same-sex couple came in and requested a cake for their wedding. The cake shop owner politely said that he wouldn't make it for them because of his religious beliefs, but he offered all other services, for any birthdays or anything. He just was against same-sex marriage, and he said he wouldn't bake that cake for them, and there were other places that would do it, but this couple went ahead and decided to take him to court. The Colorado Civil Commission charged the cake shop owner with prejudice and violation of the same-sex couple's Fourth Amendment right. The cake shop owner took it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they decided that, in fact, the Colorado Civil Rights Commission was wrong, that the cake shop owner had every right to his freedom of exercise of his religion, and deny not have to bake this cake, which is essentially, a form of art. So if you have time, read it. It's actually very interesting. I'm actually thinking of making this my research topic for our critical assignment. But if you get a chance, read it. It's actually very interesting. And yes, a judicial review impacts our lives every day, and this opinion itself will be used for case law for future court cases. Applying this decision, or anything that I would change in course that correlates to how we live today in society, or our views today in society. I really couldn't think of anything that I would change. I don't think that it is fair or right for a president to be able to fill any and all positions before he leaves. Um, I do think that there should be some type of restrictions or limits as to that. But one thing that I have always kind of had a problem with is the fact that Supreme Court justices have lifetime terms. I mean, some of them are pretty old, and, not to say that they're not intelligent or that they can't make, fair decisions, but there definitely might be out of touch with the modern society, the modern world, and as much as they try to be unbiased, I think there's just no way of you know, serving lifetime on the Supreme Court and then not really still being affected by your personal views, even your political side that you choose. Those can change throughout time. I think there has to be a term set for Supreme Court justices. I always like to close my multimedia presentations with a quote. I found this one actually in doing my research on the cake shop and the same-sex couple Supreme Court opinion. This one is by George H.W. Bush, and it reads, "Some people seem to believe that freedom of religion requires government to keep our lives free from religion. Well, I believe they're just plain wrong. Our government was founded on faith. Government must never promote a religion, of course, but it is duty bound to promote religious liberty, and it must never put the believer at a disadvantage because of his belief." So, just leaving that for you to think about. Otherwise, I hope everyone is doing well in the course, and looking forward to seeing your multimedia presentations.